November for Rangitikei District Council. Welcome to those online, councillors online, zooming in, and also Michelle Fannin, welcome, and those out in the public space zooming in. Right, could we all stand please, and we'll have the reading of the council prayer.
Almighty God, as members of the Rangitikei District Council, we give thanks for all the good things of our district and the advantages we enjoy. We pray that you will give us wisdom and guidance as we conduct the affairs of this meeting. We pray for all the communities in the district we represent. Help us to be fair and honest in our discussions, and help us to work together in unity for the welfare of all your people. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor Dalgetty. Right, I'll call for apologies. I haven't received any. Has anyone received any apologies around the table? No? Okay. Right, nil apologies. Public forum. I haven't been notified of any public forum, apart from when we deal with the grants. And Caroline, are you speaking to your grant application?
I'm here in case anyone has any
questions.
Okay,
so you're just here prepared to answer questions. Okay, and John, you're the same with your grant application. Okay, thank you. Okay, conflict. Item 4 on the agenda, conflict of interest declarations. Can we please have those notified now? Councillor Carter. Sorry. Bulls Bus Lane. Any other conflicts of interest, if there are any, when we're discussing matters, and also with the grants, if we could raise those at that time, please. Okay. Item 5 on the agenda, confirmation of order of business. We'll be taking it as it's listed in the agenda. So we'll continue.
Do you want me to introduce it?
Oh, yes, sorry, we'll do the introductions. Sorry. Carol, would you like to introduce the new staff?
Thank you. Kezia Spence is filling in as the EA to the group manager. She's been here for 6 months. And she, when Ash goes on maternity leave next month, that's what it's called apparently, maternity leave, Kezia will be filling in for him, so she's just learning the ropes.
Paternity.
No, apparently it's still called maternity leave.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Someone's been on maternity.
welcome, Kez.
Yes.
Early days.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Carol. Okay, confirmation of minutes, and those minutes start. Get to those on the order paper. Start on page 6 of the order paper. I'll run through those pages. If there are any amendments that we come across, please notify me at that time. So page 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Do we have any amendments or changes? Looking at those online. Nothing from those online. Happy to move. Thank you, Your Worship. Moved, Your Worship. Seconded, Councillor Hanapa. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, follow-up action items from the previous meeting, and that is on page 13 of the order paper. Are there any items within those follow-up actions that any committee member wishes to raise a question on? Do staff need to comment on any of those follow-up actions?
No, I think
No?
the status comments are pretty self-explanatory. I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay. If there are no questions, I will take that report as read. We need to remove the reception of them. Could I have someone move the reception? Councillor Carter, seconded by Councillor Dalgetty. All those in favour? Against? carried, thank you. Moving on to the Chair's report, which is attached to the order paper. You've had an opportunity to read through the Chair's report. I'll just make comment around the grants that we are assessing and presiding over today. There's been a small number of applications there, but that grant fund, there's still a significant amount of money in there, and I think we need to certainly spread the word around what that fund is about, and whatever organisations we can get out into to let them know that it's there and what the purpose of it is for. So if we can certainly spread the word around these funds that are provided for by the ratepayers' money, but to benefit our district. So yeah, we can certainly spread that word. I'll take the rest of my report as read. Are there any questions? If not, I will move my report be tabled, received, seconded by Councillor Carter. All those in favour? Against? Carried, thank you. Okay, reports for decisions, and we are now at the Community Initiatives Fund, assessing the applications, starting on page 17 of the order paper. Oh, sorry, no, they're not. Where are we? 15 of the order paper. Okay, so we have the Excel spreadsheet and report provided. Ash, you can bring that on.
Could I just clarify one thing quickly? It was pointed out to me that the total sum requested was 21,000, not 23.
Right, okay, so that will be noted and amended in the report. 21,000. Okay. Right, okay, so what we're going to do here is go through each application. Just each assessor has provided comment as seen in the report. If there are any questions or any further comment provided, we'll take that around the table, and then if you want to reconfirm the amount that you're suggesting to support these initiatives by, then we will do that at the time. Your Worship, you had a question?
Yes, in terms of the predator-free Marton, I declared an interest as a member of Rotary. As part of the process in filling this out, I put in, completed the process. When you declare an interest, should that just remove all of your comments, etc., as of right?
I think when you declare an interest, if it's put to the assessors of what your interest is, and then if the assessors feel that you have a direct conflict of interest, then we would remove your comments and what you've suggested in there as an amount. But if you've got a connection with an organisation and you don't have any pecuniary interest, I don't believe from the chair that that is a conflict. But I'm happy to take what the committee's view is on that.
Pointing it out that I have put a recommended amount in there, etc., and then it's up to you as chair or to rule on that.
Yeah. I'm certainly in the same boat as a member of Rotary, but this application, so we're talking about the predator-free Marton application, is a separate group, and I know they've applied under the Rotary Charitable Trust for this application. So I'm happy to declare a conflict of interest, but I don't feel there's any pecuniary benefit. How does the committee feel about the Rotarians that are in part of this committee still having an input into this decision? Happy to take any comments. Comfortable? All right, online. Okay. All right, so we'll continue and we'll leave those comments and suggested amounts in there. So we'll start off with the predator-free Marton. And I'll just ask quickly around the table. We've seen comments provided. If you've got anything you'd like to add it now as a comment, and and you can reconfirm your amount that you suggested. So we'll start off with Councillor Panapa. The assessment. Do you carry out the assessments? Yes, yeah. So for the predator-free Marton, have you got any further comment? No. Okay. Councillor Delgado, same. Councillor Carter. Okay. Your worship. Happy. Tracy. Laurel.
Yeah, fine.
Fine. Okay. Those online. Councillor Duncan, you're happy with the comments and amount? Councillor Ash and Michelle, you have a question, Michelle?
Conflict of interest is a mistake. I do not have a conflict of interest, and I am willing to put my amount up.
Okay. What? So what are you suggesting for your amount you're supporting for?
2.5.
2.5. I've just got a question in regards with, it's normally 2,500 is the maximum amount that this fund applies to any application. Now there are amounts in some of these assessments that are above that. Could I ask the people who have assessed above that figure if they were aware of that? So as part of the rules, it is at 2,500 normally is what the maximum amount is provided to an application. Councillor Carter, are you aware of that?
I'm aware of it by now, so yes, I'd change mine to 2.5, no doubt.
And Councillor Duncan, you were the other one that had put a higher figure in than the 2,500. Are you aware of that guideline?
Yes, absolutely. But once again, it's discretionary, isn't it? And I thought this was a particularly worthy cause where there is a shortfall in the budget. So I was willing to, given the amount at the end, if there were any funds left over that we could allocate, I was willing to give more.
Okay, you're within your rights because it is a guideline, but it is normal process that that is part of the guidelines, that it's generally that's the maximum amount, but you're within your rights to put that figure if you feel you wish. Okay, so if there are no further comments, the average amount. Sorry,
Nigel. Councillor Gordon hasn't made a recommended amount, but we can put one in now if you want to.
Oh, sorry.
You take part in the process, so I think it's in the proper committee.
You haven't taken any part through the assessment process? Okay. Now, does that remove that out of the averaging criteria? Thank you.
Was that comment made by Jill? I'd like to put mine back up to 3.5, please.
Okay. Councillor Hero.
I want some. I need to have some clarity around this, because that was why we had that meeting, to try and iron things out so we knew what the story was. I understood that this scheme was for 2.5, and I'm taking on board what you've said there. Councillors have the opportunity to go higher, but then again, it starts throwing into my head. Sorry, what actually is it? Because if that's the case, it could potentially mean that everything that goes down will change. And so that was one of the key reasons I asked that we have the meeting in the first place, so that I understood where everything was at. And then we're heading to this next meeting, and suddenly it's changing again. So I'm just need to let you know that, because for my own self to know, okay, I was trying to get some clarity, and now that that's happened in the very first application, what does that mean all the way going down? Because you've got in here in your report that there's an opportunity for people that have not, for other community members to, community groups to apply. I've got no problem with it. If that's what it is, then that's what it is, but we need to know and stop, every time we come to another meeting, it's changed again.
As I say, those were set not as a absolute. It's a guideline, so it's said it is generally that this fund will give up to a maximum of 2,500. So it is not a specific rule that it only goes to 2,500. Yeah, I understand, completely understand where you're coming from. it's not a black and white decision. Further comments,
The
Laurel?
group asked for 2.5. They're happy with 2.5. So for me, that should be the limit, 2.5.
So there's
Mr. Chair, I'm happy with that there is the chance for councillors to override those guidelines as their preference, if they see fit. There's guidelines there, which are the rules, which we'd think about quite seriously, but there is some wiggle room if the situation is so fit, I believe.
Your worship.
I agree with you. One of the principles here is that where, for instance, 3582, that is in lines with the complete budget that they supplied. So that was their total budget. The 225, if somebody recommended over the budget of the application, I'd have a real issue with that. If the budget application was 3.5 and somebody said, I'm going to give them $4,000, then I'd have a real issue. But there is a budget that matches those figures.
Okay, all right. So, as we said, they are still, it is a recommendation, but it's still a guideline, so it's not an absolute. You're well within your rights to put that figure in there, those two councillors. Okay, no further comments. We have an average amount come out at 2,507.45, which if we round that, it comes back to 2,500 to support. The committee is happy with that. Right, thank you. Move on to. Sorry. Councillor Ash, you had your hand up. Sorry.
It was just a comment in regards to if we should consider looking at giving more funds to any application. And I personally would like to see that happen at the end of the rounds if there was funds left over once we've gone through all of the applications.
Yeah, so this one averages out at 2,500, which is the general guideline to the maximum.
Perfect.
So I think we don't have to actually discuss it at that time, but take on board your comments. Thank you, Councillor Ash. Okay, moving on to the Marton NZ website update, and we have a number of comments there. I'm happy to go around the table if anyone wants to provide any further comment, and Mr. Whitaker is here too to answer any questions if any assessor has any questions. Councillor Hero, happy to start with you.
Well, in my, as I've commented, I was unsure about the application. Sorry, I'm going to read it because
Yeah, that's fine.
and think it needs more information around it. I would also ask how this applicant feeds into the wider Marton promotional spaces that I understood were areas covered by Project Marton, and I understand that group's in the process of reforming. I'll put it as 0 in amount, but would we consider this with more information from assessors that have more knowledge of this initiative from Marton? But you're here today, so that's great.
Okay. Councillor Duncan, you've got your hand up. You have a question.
Yes, I'd just like to reiterate everything that Councillor Hebrew just said, as per my comments in there. And so I'm very delighted that the gentleman is in the chambers and perhaps could give us a bit more information.
Okay. Perhaps if you could, we'll go to you, John. You can provide some information around your application, and then we'll continue with the process of discussing.
Right. Well, the Project Marton ceased June, I think, was the meeting, and I offered then to form a committee and move along with promoting Marton. And I was waiting for the council officer to get back to me, but it never happened. I've been talking to several people around the town about forming a new promotion organisation for moving forward. But at this stage, it was waiting on this application to see whether the council was was in favour of something like that. The other part of this application is a series of movies, which would include the Rangitikei district, and the Rangitikei District Council as being in Marton, and also the boundaries, so from Whangawehu, from the coast up to the mountain, and all the little towns, we're going to have an individual movie as well. So from Scott's Ferry to Whangahehu, I've done most of the towns already. I think there's about 100, around about 110 movies that I've done with Marton as part of the description. But the website itself would be advanced to include all your little community groups, all the businesses, and communication for that would be through the Marton NZ Facebook page. So it's not going to be a website where people can have input and output. Yeah, and that would be about it, really. It's quite a lot of work, a lot more work than I put in on the application. And yeah, so far scripting of the movies is happening, and yeah, locations and all that sort of stuff, you know. But yeah, it probably won't happen now, and I'll delete all the other movies. No, I wouldn't do that. Haven't bothered. But yeah, the YouTube channel has about 15,000 subscribers, so it's quite a positive thing. I did a little movie a while ago. Here's Marton, I think it was, and I said that the mountain's up there and Wanganui's over there, and that had about 1,000 views just about overnight. So yeah, it's quite positive, but it's entirely up to you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Whittaker. Okay, Councillor Hedor.
So my question would be, what were you connected in? So were you connected in previously with Project Marton and their promotional space?
I was supporting them, but yeah. I had the Marton NZ website, and I had all the names except .com when I set it all up years and years ago when I moved to Marton. And someone realised the .com was still there, so they grabbed it, and it was good, you know. But yes, nothing's happened with promoting Marton.
Okay, so, we'll continue on just for comment, and then we'll make a decision. Your worship.
I'd love to see Project Marton or some organisation to replace it be put in place with a community. And if this was part of it down the track, then fine. But I think it needs to be within that sort of entity. And if that got reformed, then an application along these lines, council would consider at that time. At the moment, there is potential conflicts and editorial components around that. So we're trying to build the platforms that we currently operate through council. So my view would be not at this time.
Councillor Carter. No comment. No.
Nothing to add.
Councillor Panther. No. Online. Michelle Bannon, have you got any further comment?
Yes, I stand by my recommendation at the moment. I'd just like to see a wee bit more work and working with the other organisations in Marton, then to come back to the table with a bit more information and possibly more of a presentation of what the new website could look like.
Councillor Ash, any further comment?
Thanks. Nothing more than my comment previously. I'd like to see some collaboration to really get some impact with anything along those lines. I love the enthusiasm behind it and the intention behind it, but I'd like to see some collaboration.
Thank you. Councillor Duncan, anything further to add? No. Okay. And my comments are as written. I'd probably support his worship there. If there was an organisation that was part of that, you were a part of that entity providing this space, yeah, would be happy to support, but not as on an individual basis. When I know certainly council are providing that online presence through staff members and contractors. Okay, so now unfortunately we haven't got Councillor Wilson here. He's the only one put a figure in there for support, and I did have a conversation with him yesterday, and he was wondering whether this line got entered in because he had exactly the same comments on the previous application. What I would ask Mr. Whitaker is, the way this works out, there is a recommended amount supporting of $136.36, which I would presume would be not beneficial to actually providing what you require. Your worship, have you got comment?
First thing that you have to deal with, and it's your call, but you have got they've got the majority of people saying that this shouldn't be proceeded with. So, you know, I think with all applications, you have to first of all make a decision whether there is sufficient support around the table for this to move forward.
Okay. Well, with that in mind, I believe the comments that have been provided would be not to support the initiative in its current stance. So we will have a zero figure against that. Sorry, Mr. Whitaker, but yeah.
No problem. I've got the committee, but
I've heard comment. You've heard comment, and yeah.
Thank you.
Right. The next application is the Bull's Toy Library, and have to start with comment in regards with this. Councillor Carter.
With my comment as it is.
Okay, Councillor Dalgety.
I'm happy with my comment.
Councillor Carter. So, online, Michelle.
Yep, amazing group. Been dealing with them with COGS for years.
Thank you. Councillor Ash, anything further to comment?
I can't see which one was my comment because it's not aligned, but I'm fully in support of everything that they do and really supportive of funding for that. Yes, would highly recommend. There we go. Thank you.
Councillor Duncan? Yes. Councillor Wilson,
Apologies,
welcome to the meeting. You've been thrown in for comment. We'll wait till we'll take yours last. Councillor Hero.
I'm happy with that.
Happy, and your worship.
You're looking at the figures. I seem to be the Scrooge here. I absolutely support this group. I'm a member, so I don't think that discloses me. I don't think that's a conflict. The only thing is that they submitted a budget, and nowhere in that budget does it talk about the cost of being a member. So I would have expected to seen an income line in that budget, unless I'm mistaken, showing an income stream by way of membership. And that was my only concern.
Right, thank you. Thank you.
I'll just get a clarification from perhaps Ash as to whether I am correct.
Sorry, can you please repeat?
So as part of the application, they put forward a budget. Is it possible to bring up that budget? So if you look at the income stream, it shows very minor income, but you actually have to pay to be a member of this. So I just would have expected to have seen an income stream by way of membership.
Okay. Can that comment be provided back to the applicant?
And given that Michelle Fennon has just said that this has been a long-standing group, is that right, Michelle, when you've just said that?
Correct.
That's also not been, because that was one of the things that I was wondering about. That's the only two parts that was shown in this budget as income, and you're just saying that actually this group applies to COGS and whatever else. It just makes the picture a lot more understandable if it's all in there.
So,
Yeah, when I read the application, I took it that this is a new initiative of what the type of toys that they're supplying, rather than as a whole group and what they actually provide to the community. So that's how I read the application. So it's a specific initiative towards supplying this type of toy for a specific group of the community. Laurel, do you have a
I
comment?
kind of agree with that. I think what they've done is simply put in for this miniature project, and if you actually looked at their whole organisation budget, it would be a completely different thing. So what they're asking for is to buy these specific toys, and I'm fully supportive of this. These toy libraries are just miracle things in the community for mothers.
Yeah. Further comment, Councillor Wilson?
I was happy with the comments that I made, but I would like to first of all apologise to the committee for my lateness. Sorry about that. But there was an earlier one which you may have crossed over where I had an issue with. I think I mentioned that briefly. I don't know if you've gone past that. I just
raised that. Yeah, that was in regards with the Marton NZ application that you thought you'd transposed.
I had a problem. I was trying to operate off a link to my phone, and I think I made that. I'd like that one removed if I could, if that hasn't been done so already.
Okay, it's been dealt with, so thank you. Councillor Ash, you've got your hand up? Well, you had your hand up? You're on mute.
Sorry, I meant to lower it again. Everybody covered what I was wanting to say in regards to the toy library, that I saw that this application was just specifically for those items that they wanted to purchase. They have a whole lot of other expenses that they would incur, which no doubt they apply to other funders for the support there, and their membership would also go to those other things, other costs as well. So I just wanted to say that, but I believe that was covered by the people's comments too. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Okay, so you're happy then?
yeah, look, on that explanation, I'll increase my figure from 700 to 1,000, which probably by my rough maths will increase the average recommended amount to somewhere near what they're anticipating.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So the total comes out at $12.99.82. If we running that will be $1,300 to support this initiative. The committee's happy with that in general. Thank you. Okay, the Bulls and District Friendship. Councillor Duncan, you have a question before we move on?
Yes, I do have a question. I didn't realise that you averaged it out despite what was being asked, and I think that we have to also remember that if what they've asked for is to cover what they need, there is also the issue of funding for success. So if we're going to give them $1,300 simply because we're averaging it out, when in fact most people were keen to give the whole amount, I just wonder where that sits. Can you just explain that to me?
So yes, we are. That is part of the assessment criteria when you're assessing your support to the event or initiative. So, and as each assessor has put in different amounts, certain assessors have assessed that they will fund the full amount. Other assessors have assessed that they will partly support it. And we have to take an average of everyone's view. And I don't believe that by supporting them for $1,300 when their application was for $1,400 and $1,408, that they still won't succeed with this project. They may have to reduce their funding or provide it from somewhere else. So take on board your comments, but that's part of the criteria that you use when you're assessing the application. Yeah.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that we were confident that we were still funding for success.
Yeah, thank you. So that worked out 1,300. We're happy to support that. Moving on to Bulls and District Friendship Club. So they have an application in there. I'll just go around the table quickly in regards with comments. If you're happy to stick with your comments and figure that you're providing there, happy to do that. So, Councillor Hero.
I'm happy with what I've put on.
Okay, Your Worship.
The issue I had with this, I think, is one of possible naivety in how the application was done. So if you go to the budget, the income line of the budget matched the expenditure without a reference to any other income, including grants. So the question I raise is, looking at their budget, why did they need money? Now, I think that this one is almost a naivety in terms of, so I did go through a process and use the contact number to the person who was president. I haven't been able to get in touch with that person. It was then referred back to me later to somebody else in Bulls to contact. It's starting to get a little bit more remote, but also time. I would like to support this group, absolutely, and I'm prepared to increase my budget, but that was my concern at the time. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. Councillor Carter, we're happy with that. Councillor Dalgety.
Some interesting comments there, Fiona. I mean, I'm very happy to support this group. It's unclear, what's happened around this application, but I'll stand by what I've said.
Councillor Barnford, happy. Councillor Ash.
Oh, crikey, I've lost you guys. Very happy to support it. It's interesting. I don't know that it's naivety around the budget. More the way I read that was if there's this amount of money coming in on the income line, then the outgoings, the expenses have to be adjusted to marry that up. So I think it was more for me reading it, it was about marrying up outcomes to meet the incomes, but very, very happy to support the work that they do in Bulls.
Councillor Duncan.
Yes, just as I've said there, I think that there should be a very clear message to people applying for funds that miscellaneous is not something that we should be funding. It's just, it is part of where the budget really fell down. But apart from that, very much support the group.
You, Michelle.
Yes, very much support the group. With me, when I was looking at the budget with the incomes, my questions were around, have they been able to open, have the raffles and everything that they try to earn this money, has that all come down? But I'm still quite happy to stay with my comments and keep at the total I've recommended.
Thank you. My comments were around it. The budget they provided seemed to be supporting the operation of the organisation rather than an actual initiative itself, like a single initiative, and that's hence why I haven't supported the application. Councillor Wilson.
Just happy to support as noted in the document.
Laura.
I'm very happy to support it. I think it would be naive to see it just as a friendship club. I have been there in a previous life, and they do a massive job of educating older people about services in the community and all sorts of things. I think it's really an essential, and I put mine to equal what they saw as a bequest, because bequests are not ongoing funding. So very happy to support it.
Thank you. Councillor Hero, I started with you.
I'm happy with where I'm at.
Yeah. Your Worship.
I'm happy to increase mine to $1,000, but I think there's an underlying principle here that when we fund an organisation, needs to be matched against what their requirements are. We need to actually understand their budget, and what I see routinely in applications is somebody may say in their income side, they may say grants. Now, so some organisations, those are grants that they currently are in possession of. For some organisations, they put a line, say $2,000 for grants in their expectation that they will be funded. So it's almost as if we need a line within grants to say, what are you hoping to get and what have you already been granted? Because this confusion arises time and time again. And in terms of us funding things, we should be funding against a budget. I'll leave it there.
Thank you. Are we able to put some sort of comments together based around that discussion to provide back to the applicant, Ash?
Yes, we can.
You've got the general feeling of comments around what they've provided as far as the financials for the application?
Yeah, we can provide those back, and because we can edit the form, if the committee does decide to make any changes to that section of it, we can do that at our end for future rounds.
Right, okay.
Over to you.
All right, okay. So are you asking that perhaps in the application process that they, when they're filling out the budget forms, that the provision within there shows what they have applied for but not yet received? How do you?
Yeah, so for instance, if you take, say, I know the Schmozzle and Huntable, and they have a budget, and it might be a budget for 100 grand, and in their income side they put, grants that they're to balance their budget, which might be $40,000-$50,000, for example. It doesn't necessarily mean that they have that money. That's what they're hoping to get to meet their budget figure. And so long as we understand that, that's fine. But in this case, there was no line around an income side requiring any extra money. And that's why I said earlier, I think there's a little bit of naivety and maybe some one-on-one with this organisation. I absolutely support.
Michelle, you had your hand up?
Yep. So maybe an idea is just to add a line with the outcome date of that grant that they've been applying for. That's what I've seen in other applications we've done. So yeah, it's just most of us know when the outcome of that grant you've applied for is going to be. Just add that to it.
Happy with that explanation? I think that would be useful for assessors to see that in the application. Okay, so are you happy with that comment that Michelle's provided?
Very happy, thank you.
Right. Okay, so tallying up the amount of support that's been provided, we come out at 1386.36. Is the committee happy to round that to $1,400 support? Yes, right. Okay, so 1,400 to the Bulls and District Friendship Club. Okay, the Rangatike Golf Club, Whānau Day application, and we'll just ask for comments, starting with someone online. We'll start with Councillor Ash. Are you happy with your comments as put, or would you like to provide anything further? You're on mute at the moment again, Councillor Ash.
Oops, I'm trying to get very efficient with my mute button. Yes, no, very happy with my comment. There was some questions around the budget. It seemed quite a vague sort of budget. But yeah, and still happy with my amount that I put in there, unless there was some further information to back up what their budget said that they required.
Thank you. Councillor Duncan.
Thank you. I'm just concerned with all of these applications. Well, not all of them, but this one particularly, around the advertising budget. I think advertising is so essential when you're running something like this, and it is somewhere that council can help with, perhaps by providing space on our website, etc., and our Facebook pages, etc. But yeah, the success of any of these events often you just can't rely on word of mouth. So if there was a space somewhere to give them a bit more for advertising, I'd be keen for that.
Thank you. Michelle?
I struggled with this one. This is an event. It should be to the event funding round. I'm not sure if I'm going to ask the question. Did they apply for the first date, you know, how we extended the date for this funding round for this initiative fund, or did they apply the second time? Am I able to ask that question?
Oh, I need a couple minutes.
Okay, we'll find out that information for you.
Thank you.
At the community committee, it was commented that no one had applied at the first date.
Yeah, we'll find out the information from Ash.
Yes, no, Caroline's correct. We'd received no applications.
No applications?
We pretty much got all of them.
Okay, thank you. Michelle, you heard that there had been no applications at the close of the initial first round.
Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with my comments and my recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Panapa. Maybe Councillor Dalgety. Councillor Dalgety, we're asking Councillor Dalgety.
I'll jump in for you.
Yeah, I mean, I too was questioning, you know, it as a community initiative fund. However, I just feel that clubs like this are struggling, and yes, I still continue to support it.
Councillor Carter, you're happy, Your Worship?
Look, I'm happy. Just in terms of the question of the dates, my memory says that there were applications to this prior to extension. My memory was it may have been 4 or a couple.
I don't think that's correct. They might have applied that different.
I'm happy with the comments made.
Councillor Hero?
Yeah, pretty much in line with a lot of the other assessors' thinking around this being an event, but I'm happy to.
Yeah. Laurel?
Yeah, I'll stick with my comment.
Yeah. Councillor Wilson?
Yes, stated.
Yeah, and likewise. So, no further comments, questions. We've come out with an average of 463.26. If we round that to the 460 mark, is the committee happy with that support? Right, thank you. 460, right, moving on. Taihape Neighbourhood Support application. Councillor Hero, would you like to start?
Given our, I'd like to increase mine right up to exactly how much they wanted, 630, given what was put up at the very first application, because I actually feel like I stuck to the 2.5. No, I didn't. God, where am I lost? Oh no, I have kept it 630.
No, he's just changed that.
Oh, okay.
What was it before?
Yeah, so that's, I've said that.
Well,
that
yeah, you've
because I was
got
going
that.
off the cap.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going off the cap, but given that, I'm happy to put it up to that amount.
Your Worship? Comment? No.
Leave it as is.
Councillor Carter?
Yeah, happy with that. Thank you.
Councillor Dalgety? Councillor Ash?
Yeah, absolutely love the work that they're doing up there. Very, very happy to support. As I've said in there, obviously I've stuck to the cap, the 2,500. But depending on where we end up at the end, if we're doing a bit of a wash up with the funds, happy to discuss topping that up.
Councillor Duncan?
Yes, agree with Kath. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle?
Yep, happy with my recommendation.
And likewise, Councillor Wilson?
As stated.
And Laurel?
Yes, I was a bit concerned about councillors' hours with no another 8,000 being spent on wages with no explanation. in the budget compared to last year. I was a little concerned about that, hence my going below what they asked for.
Okay, thank you. I do recall when they submitted to the LTP process that they were expecting to grow the organisation and what it provided in that community, and help provide support to other communities within the district. So I'm thinking that it certainly will expand from what they have been providing up there. Okay, so I think I've given everyone an opportunity to speak. We've come out with an average amount of $3,769.16. If we increase that to $3,800, is the committee happy to support for that figure? Right, thank you. Next application is the Diabetes New Zealand Marton Diabetes Support Group. And we'll start off with comments around the table initially. I'll start with myself. We saw 2 applications for diabetes and supporting in the Marton Rangitika area, and I've chosen to support one of those applications rather than both, and that's the reason why I've put those comments on the New Zealand application. Councillor Dalgety.
Yes, I'm of the same thinking. Yes, obviously a very valuable cause, but I felt we should be supporting one, not both. And so my $2,500 there should actually be zero, because I believe, looking at my comments below, that I will support the diabetes rangatiki.
Just before I carry on, perhaps I could ask Caroline to provide some comment. You've submitted both of these, is that correct?
I did, yes.
And I guess there has been comments provided for both around wanting to support one or the other. Could you provide some comment on why there's 2 applications going on?
So I prepared the one for Diabetes New Zealand, and then Diabetes Head Office basically notified that they were terminating the lease. That happened literally 2 days before the deadline for the application. So I talked to the local members who felt we should do something because we had no idea, and we still do not know clearly what Diabetes Head Office have in plans for the Wanganui office, which would be the Marton Support Group, let's call it as it is now. So I appreciate the confusion, which is why I asked Ash to see if I could come, because I knew there would be questions with putting in the mirror application, let's call it. From my point of view, if the support goes to the Diabetes New Zealand application, it's going to be me running the support group and me alone. If it goes to Diabetes Rangatiki, I have got 4 other people who are happy to form a committee, to set up a charity, to make things happen in the Rangatiki, and a whole wider range than they want to if it's under the umbrella of Wanganui or Diabetes New Zealand.
Okay, thank you, Caroline. I'll take some questions before we continue.
Question from me, Caroline. First of all, I appreciate what you do. Is it your expectation that we should fund one of these? And if that is your expectation, what would you which of the would you prefer to be funding?
Personally, I think I would rather have the local version, because I live in the Rangatiki, I choose to live in the Rangatiki, and I feel I would get more support from my local people who attend.
And on that basis, thank you for that clarification. On that basis, I would move that we withdraw the support to the national organisation and let one move forward. Because if we don't make a decision on this, you're going to get people thinking, where do we sit? So I'll move that as a motion to.
You're seconding that? Okay. So that's to withdraw the New Zealand application. Okay. We'll ask for questions on that around the table first before we ask for comments. Any questions? No? Okay. Councillor Duncan?
Thank you. My question would around that is that something we can actually do if it's been applied for? I think we have to consider it, and if we don't give funds, well, that's the way it is. But I don't know whether we can actually not.
It is up to this. It is up to this committee. They can make a decision to do that on new information provided. So it certainly is something that this committee can do.
Thank you.
Cheryl, you had your hand up.
Yep, so I think the wording could be around duplication of services, that maybe we shouldn't be, that's the wording, duplication of services. It's either one or the other.
Speak to the motion if you like.
You may speak to the motion.
We've gone to the applicant and said, what's your preference here? And the preference is to withdraw one. We can't fund exactly the same budget twice. Absolute duplication, I'll leave it sitting there.
Thank you.
Can I?
Unfortunately, there's a motion on the table, so if there's no further speakers, I could put it straight to the vote. Okay, there's
I'm happy with the motion, but I would just seek a little bit of clarification. Is the second application that came from Diabetes Rangatiki did not have a verified bank account? Has that been clarified at this stage? Do you have one now?
No, and we can't, according to Kiwi Bank, because until we have our status in place, as in become a charity, which could take a few months, Kiwi Bank are not in a position to open a bank account. And I didn't know that when I put in the application.
Okay, so just further that, if I may, I'm happy to support what the motion states, but I'm not going to be happy for any funds to be paid over until such time as a proper bank account is in place. So as long as we can be there on that.
that could be a provision. Yeah. Okay, further speakers? Not, I'll put it straight to the vote. All those.
Seconder, sorry.
We had a seconder, Councillor Carter. Sorry. We'll put it to the vote. Those in favour of the motion? Right. Those against? Right, that's carried. So the Diabetes New Zealand application is removed from consideration because of duplication. And we now turn to the Diabetes Rangatiki application. And we'll start with Councillor Wilson, since she had comment in regards to this.
I think that covers what it is, and the fact that has been withdrawn from the previous application. I'd transfer my funding from that to this, which has previously been not recommended for what has been indicated up there, as that matter has now been addressed.
Okay. I'll just take a few minutes for Ash to.
While he does that, can I do something? While he does that, can I do something?
What were you wanting?
I've got goodies.
Oh, yeah, best you hang on to them for the moment.
Pass it around.
No, just don't. Yeah, sorry.
Totally, I'll raise a point of order if you like, but that is totally inappropriate at council.
Yeah.
You're discussing a funding application by an applicant who is wanting to put something on the table to you as a president. Sorry, that can't be allowed.
You hang on to them. Thank you. Right. We've got Councillor Wilson's support shifted into that application. You happy with your level of support there?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Laurel.
Yeah, fully support. It's essential, absolutely essential health issue.
Thank you. Councillor Hero.
Yeah, I'd like to change mine to recommended for the 2,500.
Right.
But with the proviso that the bank account.
Yeah, we'll put that in at the end once we come out with a figure. Your worship.
Yeah, I'd increased mine to $2,000. When I did this, of course, I was in the confusion over this. Absolutely on the proviso that a bank account has been approved before we release funds.
Thank you. Councillor Carter?
Yeah, change comments from the previous one to the ring to one.
So what were you supporting that previous?
I was supporting the previous one.
2,500?
Yep.
Right. Councillor Dalgety?
I'll add my comments from the first one to the second one, and happy with the 2,500.
Councillor Panapa?
I'll move my comments from the first one as well. The only question I have is around not only the bank account, but having a legal entity. Can we as the council provide funding to a body that does not yet exist? So there needs to be that charitable.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah.
Can I talk?
Well, I think that's been explained, that to get the bank account, they will need to have their status set in place, and that will be part of the proviso of the recommendation at the end. Councillor Ash?
Very happy to support the full amount, the 2,500. Such an important kaupapa. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Duncan?
I can't see how much I've actually supported because the screens had it.
3,500.
Yes, I'm very happy with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle?
Yes, I'm happy with I'll put 2.5, please.
Right. Okay, and I think Councillor Hero?
I've just got a comment and some clarification. As far as I understand it, since being involved in this, there are a number of organisations that are not charitable trusts that we fund. Is that correct? Yeah. So I'm just saying that there are a number that you don't have to wait for things. We've funded things. People aren't charitable trusts.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't think that'll be a requirement, but it'll be about setting up the bank account, which will require a status to be provided to set the bank account up. Councillor Wilson, are you happy with your?
No, I just transferred mine over from
the 500. Are you leaving it at 500?
feeling like a Grinch now.
I just thought I'd give you the opportunity before I move on.
Okay, yeah, look, I am happy to increase that to match what other people have put up there, based on the clarity of the bank account and the status being set up and it being directed directly to the Rangatiki and the residents of Rangatiki. So happy to increase that support.
Right. Thank you. Right. No further questions. We came out with a figure of $2,454, so $2,450 support to this initiative. And if we can have it worded that on the proviso that a bank account, which will obviously require a status of the group, be provided before this funding is provided to that entity. Is the committee happy with that proviso being attached? Right. Okay. We've got subject to group bank account being established, which requires a status, so that's fine. Okay. Right. So that is the end of assessing those applications. What have we come out with as a tally there?
I'll just quickly add that up. Yours an interest.
Oh yes, well, while we're waiting, can we have someone move to receive the report? Councillor Dalgety, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Wilson. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Yeah, we've got a few minutes. No further comments on the process at the moment from anyone while we're waiting for the final figure. Oh, you've got it there. Right, no more comments. Sorry, team. We've got the figure there. So the total amount approved in round one is $11,910. So that's leaving around $18,000, around the $18,000 mark for the second round of funding, which takes place in,
It will probably close in April of next year. That's the proposed date.
right. So if we take that opportunity, if we know what sort of figure this fund will have in it, take this opportunity to certainly get the word out and about in the community about what the purpose of this initiative, what this fund is for, and certainly try and get some applications, more applications in. Right, so we have to move that figure.
He's just populating all the individual figures now.
Now you've made your decision, I still have goodies and it's not a bribe as my husband suggested to me, it's an edge.
Just hang
Show me
on.
what you've
No,
got.
just hang on to them, Carolyn. Yes, that's not appropriate. Not appropriate. Okay, so we've got the figures listed there on the order paper. If everyone can see those as listed, could I
Happy to move.
have someone move? Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Seconded by His Worship. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Yes, yeah, actually that'd be quite good. Thank you, Laurel, for your input for today. And Michelle online, thank you for your input. You're welcome to continue to be part of the meeting, but yeah, obviously the input for the assessment goes, thank you very much. Yeah, hugely appreciated. Okay, so we'll just take a minute to get the staff members required into the meeting. The numbers set. We're restricted to the numbers in here, so we need to make sure we've got the right staffing people here. Okay, thank you, team. We'll reconvene the meeting.
Yeah, you can get on with it.
And we are up to item 9.2 on the agenda, the financial snapshot for October. And I'll hand over to Mr. Toombs to take us through this report.
Thank you very much. Happy to take most of it as read. Just reminding committee members that we have issued a replacement page 21. The gremlins got in there and we truncated two of the figures into dollars and not thousands of dollars. So you have a replacement. It was emailed out last Friday.
So that's tabled here in front of you, councillors, the amended page. That is incorrect in the report.
Just two figures in the second column in the revenue section. Apart from that, happy just to take the report as read and point out that there's two parts to the paper. One is advising on the year-to-date financial status as at the end of October. And then in section 3.8, just continuing last month's theme of identifying a few smaller capital budgets from last year that have already been approved, just to enable these projects to be wrapped up this year.
Okay, thank you, Dave. I'll take questions of the report from around the table. Councillor Duncan.
Thank you. I have a question around 2.2. Just where it says consistent with previous months, most budget variances are timing differences. I would just like to know, when it says most, the ones that aren't budget variances due to timing, when will they be clarified, or is this something we can look at today, or will that become apparent as we go further down throughout the year?
Okay, well, we'll respond to that. The most obvious budget variance in the OPEX point of view that's not timing, I'm scrolling through now, is on page 24, where it's not a timing difference, you actually got unbudgeted revenue. Well, I guess you could say it's unbudgeted. It's unbudgeted income we've got that will be offset by unbudgeted expenditure down the track. So at the moment we have a large 250k income stream with no budget. And that budget's not scheduled to be changed. So that will be a permanent budget difference through the year, but it will be offset by a corresponding permanent budget difference in expenditure that's not there yet. Most of the other operating income or expenditure variances are mainly due to just timing differences of budgets. And the main difference is on page 26, when it's our roading work, that they were significantly put behind July and August because of COVID.
Does that answer your question, Councillor Duncan?
Yes, excellent, thank you.
Thank you. Further questions of the report? Your Worship.
The only one that jumped out at me, really, because I know about most of these ones, the community housing building alterations of 89,000. Is that OPEX or CAPEX?
It's a CAPEX budget.
Yeah, because it's providing a new level of service, does that then qualify as CAPEX?
Yeah, if it's I don't know the actual plans as to the specifics of what the development is. I think Officer Bernardi might be able to contribute some comments here.
I might take this as an opportunity to speak about some of those amounts in that carryover budget, and hopefully that answer can be provided as well around the community housing building operations. So, Mr. Benedict.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I may, I see we've got Gayleen online. She has got all the details for you.
For this one?
Yeah, for the community housing.
Okay. Welcome, Gayleen.
Okay, can you hear me?
No, you're a bit muted. Muffled, sorry.
I will duck down.
Yeah,
okay.
She'll just come down.
All right. While we wait for Gayleen, are there any comments you'd like to provide to some of these figures? Sorry?
Absolutely.
Well, I'll take your question shortly, Councillor Duncan. But
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The ones that I can comment on is the first two. So the Tai Happy Memorial Park, carryover of 221. What that is there was a provisional carryover of 1.6 from the 2 million from the previous year. At the time when we did the carryovers, we weren't 100% sure about how much will be left over by the end of the year, and that's just to recover the last little bit. So the actual carryover is 1.8 million of the 2 million, and that's just to recover those numbers and make them more accurate. So when we did the 1.6, it was still a bit of a guess. And then the second one for Te Marapihi, that is what is left over in that account or in that GL code number. We want to carry that over in case we need it for something unforeseen with the building in this financial year. But that's what that is.
Gayling, welcome.
So the amount of just over 80,000 was for roof replacement at Wellington Road Flats, and for the delays with contractors getting asbestos checking, etc. It didn't get done in the last financial year.
So, thank you. So does that answer around CapEx versus operational?
Not quite, but it's probably an issue I'll go into later. And we depreciate fund this. So it's on a depreciation schedule. So therefore, a replacement process of a roof, you're replacing a like with like. It's not a new level of service. So that's why my expectation would have been that it is actually an OPEX in terms of a process rather than CapEx. But I'm happy to take this conversation offline later.
Okay, all right.
It may well be my understanding of the definitions around this, but that was my concern.
Okay.
I do have one other question with regard
We'll
to...
continue on and then I'll go to Councillor Duncan. Yes, so carry on.
Okay, the only other one that I was interested in was the power upgrade of 30k. Now, is that a power upgrade? I'm interested in which area of the park here. Is this a power upgrade to meet the requirements of the grandstand? Or is this a power upgrade to meet the requirements of the new build as another avenue into power into the park?
There are currently power boxes around the park. There's some by that number 3 field, and that is to replace some of them, but it would also be looked at as part of the new amenities.
Okay, so in council this afternoon, we've got an order paper that deals in scope around the new building on Memorial Park. So I'll raise an issue around power at that stage.
Okay, Councillor Duncan, you have a question.
Sorry, merely that could we clarify as we go through what page number we're on? Just when we're jumping around, it's a bit tricky to sort of.
Okay, we certainly will. So that one we were dealing with the figures on page 18 of the carryover figures.
And I do have a question, just because. Just because I do. The receivables. Can you just tell me what that's made up of?
What page are we talking about?
4.1.
4.1. Okay. Just the terms 4.1.
Yeah, that'll be mainly ratepayers.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions?
Just one more. Sorry, can I continue? Sorry, Councillor. Yeah, and just to continue that, when we say there are 5.9 million in receivables, that doesn't, and I'm saying that's from ratepayers, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're out of date ratepayers. If the due date's not here yet, then people wait till the due date before they pay. So due dates, whenever that hits, that figure will be slashed.
So it's predominantly rates.
Aren't due.
Yeah.
They're not open. Doesn't mean they're overdue just because they're receivable.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson.
Yes, if I may, Chair, just a couple of questions and understanding that there's some work outstanding, as Galen has pointed out, with regards to community housing. But when it comes to the Bulls Centre there and furniture, so is that requiring more furniture, or are we yet to meet some invoices that are outstanding with that carryover, or is there, what are we waiting for with furniture?
There's still some cabinetry in the reception area around the staircase. And we're also looking at the Zoom capacities for in the hall itself, being able to use Zoom for meetings in there.
Okay. Can I, through you, Mr. Chairman, if I may just add to that, these are new items that was not included in the original design of the build. It's just as we use the building, it has become clear that there would be benefit if we could add things for the building as Galen would do with any of the other buildings. So the building is being used a lot for meetings and Zoom calls, and we've identified the need for better facilities for Zoom and other electronic communications.
So just further to that, the budget line exists within that, but under Bull's centre furniture that you're looking to use. So it's an existing budget line with these other things that have been identified. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Any further questions of the report? No further comment you'd like to provide, Mr. Toombs? Okay. Right, could I have someone move that the financial snapshot for October 21 be received? Thank you, Councillor Gordon. Thanks. Seconded by Councillor Hero. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. And recommendation 2, that Finance and Performance Committee recommend to Council the carrying over from 2021 the list of projects included in this report, and the 21-22 budgets are amended accordingly. Moved.
Excuse me, sorry, could you please clarify who moved the first one?
Yeah, sorry. Let's say that clear enough. Councillor Gordon, and it was seconded by Councillor Hero.
Happy to move the second recommendation, Chair.
Okay. No, just not sure that we've got this. So Councillor Wilson is moving recommendation 2. And we are seconded by Councillor Dalgetty. All those in favour? Against? Right, carried. Right. Yeah. Okay, item 10 on the agenda, reports for information, and we have attached the draft 2021 annual report and summary annual report. And who's taken us through this?
That would be me.
Right, okay, welcome on board. Oh, sorry, Your Worship, you had a question.
Before we go on to this, I didn't know where to ask this question. It's a treasury question and I don't know where to slot it in. It was now an appropriate time to ask that, or can I take guidance from the chair as to when I should ask the treasury question?
The treasury question would normally come under the financial snapshot.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So if there was a question in regards with that, do you have a question outstanding?
Well, my question is, and you can rule on how this is. So in our long-term plan and our projections for this financial year, by this stage of the year, we should have spent a lot of money. In terms of where interest rates are going, so my guess is and from Treasury's point of view, we've arranged a facility on the expectation that that may happen, but probably not enacted or drawn it down yet. Should we be drawing this down now, while we know exactly where we are with interest rates, with the vision of interest rates climbing? And I just wonder, from a Treasury point of view, whether we are better taking that process now and having a facility sitting there, a loan approved, that effectively we're not enacting until probably a month or two's time, but it may well be at a better interest rate. So
I'm happy to
I'm
take
sorry that it's such a general question, but
I'm happy to take that question as what should have been asked under the financial snapshot. But are you happy to provide some commentary?
Yeah, I'll give some commentary, and I'd invite Danny to add in too. If I can take you back to page 18 of the agenda papers, we're currently shown that section 4.1, we've got about 12 mil worth of liquid or short-term stroke liquid assets.
Yes, correct.
Totally take on point your comment that we are expecting to spend tens of millions in the next 9 months, 10 months, 12 months. So it's want to avoid speculating as to when we're going to diminish or eliminate our treasury. Our current balance of 11 million. We could borrow now on the basis that we'll spend all our reserves in the next 2 months, so therefore we'll hook into current interest rates as opposed to guessing that interest rates in 2 months' time might be 0.5% more, which is, I think, what we're basically saying. Current interest rates are low. Are they going to be higher in 2 or 3 months' time?
Yeah, with your guidance, Mr. Chair, I just wonder whether we just need to review a cash projection going forward. And I'm not expecting a resolution at this table, or just raise it as an interest item.
It is certainly something that we'll be looking at as we expect our capital programme to ramp up in the next 6 months. Yeah.
Okay, so staff will take on board those comments. Yeah, thank you. Okay, right, now back to page 32 on the order paper and the annual report, the summary annual report. And Danny, welcome, and we'll hand over to you.
Everyone, Mr. Chair. So the annual report, obviously we complete that. It's a yearly annual report and a summary annual report. This year we've pretty much rebuilt the whole financial model that drives it to make it more automated, to make it easier going forward. So it's taken a bit longer to get it to where it is at the moment. It's currently being audited at the moment, and they're expecting us to sign our audit opinion on the 16th of December at the council meeting then. A couple of the highlights from there with the statutory implications is normally our deadline is 31 October for our main annual report, with our summary adopted 1 month after the adoption of our main one. Those deadlines have been pushed out to 31 December, same as last year, based on COVID. So that's why we're being audited later during the year. With the Free Waters announcement, audit have indicated to us that they're going to include a emphasis of meta paragraph in the audit opinion on the financials, which draws the reader's attention down to one particular note. So it's an unmodified opinion on the financial statements, but they highlight, it's note 24, page 102 of the annual report, which just says it's our after balance date events note. It just says that the announcement was made by central government that Free Waters is no longer opt-in or out, it's a mandatory in. So it's just drawing attention to the readers for that. So it's not a bad thing, it's just something they've done for every council from what I've been told. In terms of the audit opinion, we got the qualification last year on the performance measures, which will be the same this year. The reason for that is we were told partway through the year, so we've brought in procedures to fix that issue. But as it's not for the whole period, it still stands for this year, and we expect next year that will be a cleared issue. The other thing I'd like to point out with the annual report, that a lot of work has gone into modernising it. Carol's team spent a lot of time to bring that up to date, and Nadine has pulled everyone together to get the bits and pieces. So I'd just like to point out the work that has gone into it from all the other teams across council.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much. And I'll back up those comments when you're reading the report. It was quite refreshing reading through, and it's a lot easier to read when you've got presented in that sort of format. So thank you for the team that's done the work in regards to that. Happy to take questions of the report. So are there questions around the table? Councillor Gordon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You commented that you've really updated or upgraded the machinery in behind this report to make the reporting of their position easier. Have you had any feedback from audit on that, and what they like to see, or how we compare with other councils in that respect?
Not in terms of how it all pulls together. I mean, at the end of the day, they get the annual report, and as long as they can audit those numbers, they don't really give feedback on the processes in behind that. I will say there's a couple of, as the mapping's all been done from scratch, we've had to correct a couple of mappings as we go through the process. But once we get to the end of the audit, it'll mean all of our mapping is fixed for next year. So next year we basically copy in our trial balance and it'll just spit it out into the annual reports.
Okay, thank you.
I might just add to that.
Yes, yeah.
We've had no, as Danny said, we've had no kind of formal feedback yet from auditors, but I know having been there 12 months ago, the informal feedback I've had from them is there's been no noise this year, whereas last year there were lots and lots of cross references that didn't add in, rounding differences, inconsistent formatting. So an awful lot of stuff that wasn't working well last year. I've had zero commentary on this year, so big improvement.
That's great. Yeah, thank you for that. Any further questions around the table? Councillor Gordon?
Yeah, second one, and it's really big picture, and it's on page 48, our levels of service. And there's an awful lot of red in there. And I know we talk about these things, you know, if we have one did not achieve somewhere, it stays with us for the whole year. You know, the top one total, I mean, it's sort of circa 40%. I mean, crikey, that if you're just a layman reading this, you'd be horrified. And I guess it's even for us reading it, you know, it's pretty visually dramatic. You know, how can we change what we do, or are we just stuck with it?
I'll hand over to staff, but yeah, I mean, there has been comment on 3.3 around where we currently sit at the moment, and that's what's reflected in that report. But there's been changes that have been implemented, which we will see in a future report, which will change a lot of that. So there's been a lot of stuff implemented in the way we measure. But yeah, that's my take on it. I'm happy to hand over to staff for comment.
I'm easy. I've not spoken yet. Yeah, that's exactly why staff spend a lot of time working on a revised statement of service performance for this year that you accepted through the long-term plan. The former statement of service performance was characterised by several measures that we physically had no impact, no matter what we did. There was no impact by council. There were measures that internally we failed to report appropriately or accurately on, and there were things that we just didn't do. And our revitalisation of the statement of service performance and the way in which we sign off processes, etc., has vastly changed this year, including the fact that the actual measures themselves or the activities themselves are different this year. And I can think of quite a few different measures from last year that haven't carried forward. The role of the school, for example, how many pupils go to school, is not something that any of my staff can implement or change.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that, Peter. Any further questions? No one online? Okay. Do I have someone move that that the annual report and summary annual report be received? Councillor Dalgety, seconded by Councillor Heroy. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Danny, for the work and presentation. Okay, item 10.2 on the agenda, which is on page 54, which is the QV monthly report for September. And Danny, you're going to take us through this, so welcome back to the table. Stay where you are.
There's not really much to comment on in this month's report. It's remained fairly consistent. We received the reports in towards the end of each month. This is why it's slightly behind. So I think we only just got in October, so in the last couple of days. So this reporting tends to be a month behind. The only thing that was a highlight is that there's more buildings under construction at this time of year, but everything else seems to be following consistent trends at this point in time.
Just got a question. What are the net assessments shown in that?
So the gross assessments are all of our rateable assessments in the district. The net ones are, it takes out the non-rateable ones, the contiguous, it's pretty much non-rateable and contiguous ones that are removed from those amounts.
Okay.
So I think last year, if you can see last year's one, there was a big drop in net assessments for the last month, which was because of the amendment to the Rating Act, which made some Māori land non-rateable, which is why there's that drop last year.
Thank you for that. Any questions of the report? Commentary, yeah, I mean, certainly the building consents throughout the district are on a continual climb, and obviously the resourcing of that department is handling that in a constructive manner. Peter, I'm not sure whether you'd have any comment on demand on that part of your team, with the extra resourcing that's been provided. You know, they're finding the workload a lot more manageable now.
In terms of the building consents?
Yes, yeah.
I think it's, yes, there are additional resources, but the resources have compensated for the loss. They are busy. There are, I think last month we commented in my CE's report just a quantum change, but we have that one extra resource this year, which has helped us. Yeah.
That's good, thank you. Your worship.
Yeah, we've reported to council a number of times on some fairly serious consenting processes that are going to be in front of council. We've had another prime piece of land in central Marton that has come onto the market. My expectation is that it will probably be another significant block of land that may well be targeted for housing. So, it could well be another 100 odd properties that, it's just where we are.
Yeah, and I know in your report for council, the Simply project is on target and to be implemented. So that's another resource to help handle that workload. So, yeah, see. Okay, are there any further questions of the report? If not, could I have someone move that we receive? Thank you, Your Worship. Seconded by Councillor Carter. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Okay, thanks, Danny.
Sorry, before, can I have just butt in?
Yes.
I already have, haven't I? Sorry, Danny. Just like the last three papers, obviously the most interesting papers you're going to see today being finance related. You probably saw Hillary leave the room after report 9.2, the new budget accountant, who I think most of you would have met at some stage. Danny's been here 3 or 4 months now, Danny, and played a lead role in the year-end accounts. Someone else has joined us today. 2 hours ago, Rebecca Brownlee joined us as our new financial accountant. I think you prefer Bex, is that your preferred name? So the paper we just went through, the annual report, we kind of reviewed it in 5 minutes. That's going to take about 3 months of Beck's life next year to put all that together. So Bex has just joined us. I think she's unaware that if you join us on the day of Finance Committee, you're expected to do a song and dance. Bex, feel free. So yes, I just think it's likely to meet Bex the first time. Sorry, Bex, to not have announced that beforehand. So welcome to the team. And thanks,
David, and welcome, Bex, on behalf of the committee. Look forward to having your input into these meetings, and your work into the annual report for next year will be fairly significant. So welcome on board. Okay, thanks, Dave. Right. Okay, moving along. We've moved and received that report, the QV monthly report. We are now at 10.3, the annual resident survey improvement plan. Page 61 of the order paper. And George, welcome to the table.
Morning, everyone. Obviously, up first, the annual resident survey improvement plan for discussion. I'm just happy to take any questions of the report.
Okay, now committee members have all had an opportunity to read through the improvement plans. And are there any questions of the report initially? Councillor Gordon.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Page 62, paragraph 2.2. As part of the new process, we have a dedicated staff member handling the customer complaints, the stuff we always like. How's that process panning out? Are we getting some good results in terms of understanding the feedback?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we don't have a lot of complaints, which is good. I think we're up to 11 that of varying degrees that Farron has been dealing with since she took on this role. But I think the important thing is that we actually have an escalation process to deal with complaints, and so people know where they are in terms of how their complaint is being responded to, and there's a set process for it.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
I think I'd add to that, just to underline what you said, and their responses being responded to.
Yes.
So we have a dedicated person that ensures there is a response.
Thank you.
So does that reflect to the happy or not thing as well, where people can leave comments? Does that person review what's left on there as well?
It's a team approach to happy or not, which you'll see in the next item. But if there was something significant in there that needed to respond to, we would put it through that complaints channel. Yes, so they all interlink.
Yeah, right, thank you. Right, we've got a few questions around the table. I'll start with Councillor Carter and we'll come around.
With that response process, when's that starting?
It started.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you.
Councillor Hero.
I'm just interested to know how the staff see, from a councillor's point of view, the comment around the meeting with councillors. How does that feedback? What's the process for that? Do we know what that process is?
I suppose because staff aren't privy to how councillors meet with the constituencies of the public, it's a bit hard for us to comment. And obviously the, I suppose, relationship that they have with the community is a bit different. We don't see that on a day-to-day basis. I don't know if you might be meeting with someone and then how that goes. We don't, I suppose, have a process for then saying to the public, how did your meeting with Councillor Hero go? So it is a bit hard for staff to comment on that process.
So I'm just interested to know, given that that's one of the activities within it, what do we need to be having in place? Or how do we feed that back in then, is what because taking on board that you don't necessarily know what 11 people are doing, how does that need to be reported back in?
That's possibly a question that, that is aimed at elected members and how available they make themselves, I guess, has come up through that report. George, you're correct, you've reported on that, and within this report that staff can't comment on that particular section, but perhaps that's something that could be raised at councillor only time prior to council about that issue that's been highlighted, and what are we doing to improve that? Where do we see the barriers? So I think that's probably an opportunity. Your Worship, perhaps you could provide some comment in regards with that. Well, I'm happy to leave it if the elected members are happy to leave it and discuss it.
In terms of
at that time.
Councillors and myself engaging with the general public, first of all, our details are all on council websites, and we routinely put out offers to engage. So what is brought to us tends to have 2 or 3 different work streams. So if somebody comes to us with a concern that is operational in nature, which is the common one, then they will be directed back through the Chief Executive, the staff members concerned, and they may well be picked up in that matter. So there is that process. There are other processes of complaints where people have gone and said, It hasn't been addressed. We have a different process around that, but I'm happy to talk about it.
Yeah, I think the ideal opportunity would be in the councillors only session prior to council. Councillor Gordon.
Yeah, just following up on this item, from an operational perspective, we do have a process where stuff like this comes into George or whoever the staff member is, that then goes from there to the mayor or the deputy mayor. And I'm putting that out as a question. You know, if we've got negative stuff or positive stuff, then do we have a process between ops and governance that passes that on, that's formalised?
I suppose this is it that we're feeding back now. Is that what you're referring to?
Well, if I was a disaffected ratepayer and I came along and said, look, this jolly councillor Angus is not up to it or something, how would it work? Would that comment arrive in your lap or the chief execs or someone, and you know, have we got a formalised process where that goes across to the mayor or the deputy mayor?
I think that's probably an answer that could be commented on by the chief executive.
So the residence survey has been replaced by our point of service. I don't anticipate us measuring a point of service where a constituent may want to meet their elected member or with the mayor. I agree with His Worship's comments, if I can continue, that I think there are contact details online, etc. If you failed to respond to one of your constituents, then the mayor may receive a complaint, or forgive my bluntness, but they'll vote with, you know, at a polling station. So I don't anticipate, as we move away from the resident survey, to getting meaningful data for our performance through the point of service, as would happy or not, which we'll come to, and other points of service, then I think that's a far more rich set of data that I'd ask you to, and we would be proud of, or can take action on. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Councillor Wilson.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So, quick couple of things. First of all, with these things, which we're all going over now, you've got to own the negatives, but you've also got to own the positives as well. So, you know, if you've got a negative, don't hide it, own it, and deal with it. Secondly, throughout the order paper, there was a comment made about triage and frontline staff. That role that you're talking about and the ability to know when a complaint or an issue needs to be, you know, go further up is absolutely critical. So my question is, and I have done some of these things in previous lives, is there any training being given, and have you looked at that? Because it's a really, really critical role, and there are some very, very, very good courses that people can go on if you're targeting some staff to perhaps take on this role or to expand their existing roles to fill that. And I would encourage you to look at some of those, because there are, they can be the make or break of many organisations by having that right skill set in there, because it's not everyone's got it. Not everybody can deal with the empathy of the fact that the pothole that's outside somebody's house is the biggest issue that's going on in the world, and it surpasses COVID. But the fact that that pothole has not been fixed is huge. But dealing with that empathy and having the right people and the training in places, I would encourage you to look at it.
Thanks for your comments. That's getting into the operational aspect of council, but if you're happy to provide any answer,
I was just going to say that Farron, who's taken on the role, is a very experienced customer service officer. She's been with us a number of years. And
that's Karen who, sorry?
Farron.
Farron. Oh, okay.
Yes, and also Sean Grant, who's the customer experience manager out there now, has put in place training modules for all the staff. He's actually managed to get those from other councils and build them to what we want here, and he undertakes that with them, and also there's online stuff that he is doing, and we're always being approached by other organisations with training opportunities, but at the moment we're using the in-house ones that he's been able to develop.
Okay, good, thank you.
Further questions? Anyone online there? Look, this report has taken on some of those opportunities, as Councillor Wilson would show them, and it shows exactly what has been put in place to take advantage and utilise some of those improvements that have stood out and been required. So, well done on identifying them, and as elected members, we've got to take on board the commentary that's come back around the ability for ratepayers to contact us. I know there's phone numbers and what contact details online, but making ourselves available when required is obviously a request of the ratepayer if they're commenting through this process. Your worship.
Yeah, there's also the underlying principle. If somebody comes to the front office and asks to speak to a councillor or myself, then they have that right.
Thank you. All right, so recommendation there, could I have someone move that the report and the resident survey improvement plan be received? Thank you, Councillor Hero. I seconded. Councillor Panafa. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Yes.
Although that's part's done, Mr. Chair, and I'm grateful to moving on. I just wanted to highlight the belief of myself and the executive team, particularly Carol, and is that a perception of the public and our ratepayers can further be improved by increases in the quality and quantity of the information that we provide. And so Carol is undertaking to have a new person. It is buried in the information, the previous report, for us to have a new comms person that will be responsible for pushing out as much information as we can about our projects, where we're doing things, what we're up to, etc., etc. I think, and Carol thinks, there's a lot of room to move. Today, just in society where people get a lack of information, they fill the void. We've seen that in many areas, and this project that Carol's leading in this regard, or having an extra person, aims to stem that gap and to provide the right information about what we're proud of, and also to put out the information, as Councillor Wilson said, for when we get things wrong. We'll admit it when we get it wrong.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Peter. Yeah. Okay, next report on the order paper is Statement of Service Performance and Focus Areas. So, George, I'll hand over to you to take us through this report as well.
Thank you. As discussed at the last finance performance meeting, it was just around reporting back on some of the focus areas from our Statement of Service Performance, and they're outlined through in the report, and then there's the table for what we're aiming to achieve. I'm happy to take the report as read. Take any questions.
Okay, thank you, George. Any questions of the report or comment from elected members online? Look, thanks again. I mean, again, this is highlighting the focus areas that council are working towards in the improvement program. So, and to have it set out in a table and actions to be completed is excellent for us as elected members to see there's a process in place and see what you're wanting to achieve and get through for this 12-month period. So thank you for putting this together. If there's no further questions of this report, I'll have someone move that it be received, unless you're not. Are you wanting to provide any further comment? Or we've got a hand up online. Councillor Duncan.
Yes, I'm happy to move to the section of that report.
Thank you, Councillor Duncan. Maybe Councillor Ash would like to second it. Thank you. Councillor Ash, we'll get you Zoomers on board. All those in favour? No. Against? Carried. Thank you, and thank you, George, for your work there. Right. Okay, item 10.5 on the order paper, happy or not report. And Carol.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Yes, I don't intend to go into it on any detail. We've talked quite at length about the Happy or Not system, and we've undertaken to provide you with a monthly report, and that gives you the statistics from the 4 locations where these are. I suppose the only thing I would like to say is when we do our annual resident survey, if we're lucky, we get 260, 270 results from a very extensive campaign, and you'll see for a response for a month with this is 316. And I know it's not asking the same questions, but it's also showing that when you do ask people at point of contact, you do get feedback, and it's feedback that we can actually then use and learn from, but also celebrate when our staff are getting great results. And it's become a bit of a thing, especially with the team out the front. They love to see the green there every week. So it's just something now that they really strive to do. So in terms of the benefits that you get that are not seen, that will be one of them, is just that they always are striving to make sure they get those really good results. So,
Great, thank you. And yeah, the report has got some good reading. It's nice to see the positives, provided in that report, that we do have a lot of interaction with people on the positive side. We're not hearing about that negative side, which we seem to hear through the annual resident survey process. So yeah, this is definitely and you can certainly see how it would be a staff morale booster seeing those greens increasing. So well done. Yeah. Right, I'll take questions of the report. Start with Councillor Carter, then Your Worship. Did you have a question as well?
No, I'm just happy to move the receipt and congratulate.
Question?
On the first graph, what do the blue dots represent?
that'll be the average.
On page 75.
Statistics over there,
Is that a dot from one month to the next, perhaps? The change?
Yeah, they just ran out of
Okay, perhaps we can.
I'll ask that one actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
See what that indicates. I did see those two and wondered what they mean. Yeah.
I was looking for it.
Thanks for the question. There's a blue dotted graph on the next page, so it may be something in relation to that. But yeah, but we'll get that clarified. Councillor Hero. Oh, okay. So no further questions of the report. We'll take His Worship moving the reception and seconded by Councillor Hero. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Now, item 10.6 on the order paper, and were these sent out under a separate paper? Yes, they were. So you should have received a separate paper which covered off these community initiatives funding project report forms from the previous round of funding. I'm happy to move from the chair that these report forms be received. Could we have a seconder, please? Councillor Dalgety. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Right. Thank you very much.
Quick question, were all received without me going into it from the round?
Might have to ask the question.
Did we receive back from everybody?
So this is project report forms from multiple previous rounds.
Yeah.
I do keep tabs on which ones are outstanding. Those are just the ones we've since received.
Yeah, so is there any outstanding that you can think of right now?
I'd have to quickly double check.
No, okay, just need to know. I know it is a requirement of the funding to make sure that they are received. That was all.
Yeah, correct. The only ones that off the top of my head I know are outstanding are from Project Marton.
Understandable.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Doubt that we would receive those again, obviously, from that group as they are now folded. All right. I forgot that, Councillor Dalgety. Yep. Right. Okay. I don't think there's anything else on the order paper. So thank you all for your input today. Thank you for your attendance. Thank you, councillors that have zoomed in online, and for those watching online. Thanks for coming along watching, and we'll call the meeting closed at 11:01. Thanks.